Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Soulful Branding Live with Lulu. Thank you so much for all the positive feedback I received on episode 1. It means a lot, and it's really encouraged me to keep going. So today we're going to be talking about product businesses. Craft market season in Kenya is slowly gathering momentum, and with it comes some anxiety. I know the remainder of this year, the end of the year, is always really prime time for making good product sales, but with that comes the pressure to produce. So for me, creativity is not the problem, but there are a host of other factors that come into play when you're running a product business, things that I wish I knew earlier on. And so today I'm going to share some of the things I've learned so that hopefully you can avoid some of the pitfalls I've experienced. So in case this is your first episode, I'm Lulu Kitololo. I'm an artist, designer, brand consultant. I run a festival. I co-founded a business network. And the thing that cuts across all of these things is the belief, my belief, that creativity can truly change the world. So I'm really passionate about inspiring people to harness their own creativity in building the businesses and designing the lives that make their hearts sing. So in 2017, I launched the Soulful Branding Challenge, which is an online course that exists to help people find their voice, find their tribe, and deliver to them the special magic that only they can. So since launching that course, I see this idea of soulful branding in play in so many areas of business and life. And so this series of videos exists to explore some of those. So 10 years ago, I left employment, and I left without a real plan. I just felt it was time for me to go on my own. So since then, as you can imagine, I've been learning this running a business thing on the job as I go. So around 5 years into self-employment, which at the time mainly consisted of working on branding projects, I found myself really creatively frustrated. Sure, I enjoyed the projects I was working on. I enjoyed the people I was working with, but it was always for other people. So I couldn't remember the last time where I made something, under my own direction, something that I wanted to make. So I wanted to do this, but I always made excuses. The main one being, I just don't have time. Translation, I hadn't made it a priority. So in the summer of 2014, while visiting my mother, previously I said I was on vacation, but actually, those who are running your own businesses know that this concept of vacation is very elusive. So I'm abroad visiting my mother, and I decided I was going to make the time. So I created a few illustrations and designs, and then I committed to take part in an event. The event was either the following month or maybe 2 months after that. And I committed to selling greeting cards and art prints with those illustrations on them. You can imagine it was a very nerve-wracking weekend, but at the end of it, I felt really good. I was really happy I did it because I got to talk to lots of people, get lots of feedback, make some sales, and I felt that maybe I was onto something. So I want to talk business. So from a business perspective, I'd been thinking about creating products for quite a while. I felt it was a more sustainable business model than trading my time for money. So working on creative commissions is trading my time for money. If I don't put in the time, I don't get the money. On the other hand, with products, I create the designs once, and they can then be produced and reproduced forevermore. So in theory, I could decide to take a 1-year sabbatical, and the products I created 5 years ago would keep the income coming in theory. Which brings me to what I really wanted to share today. So I wanted to share 5 lessons from my product business journey so far. There are much more than 5, but I felt that these 5 were a good starting point to open up this discussion. So I'm not sure if these are in a particular order. I put them in an order that made sense to me, but yes, take each 5 individually. So number 1, take time to cost things properly. So we know that for a business to live, to exist, and to grow, we need to make a profit. So when determining the price of your products, you really need to think about all of the costs that you incur in production. I think we often think of material costs and supplier costs if we have them. So maybe we're working with artisans or factories, etc. But it's also super important to think about the cost of your time. And this is something I didn't do for a while. So if you're finding it difficult to come up with a figure for the value of your time, you know, the work that you put in for that product to exist, imagine if you hired somebody to do all the things that you do. How much would you need to pay that person? And you can use that cost as a basis. So other costs that we often overlook, your overheads, so your day-to-day running costs, that might be electricity, water, internet, etc. These are all costs that you need to factor into your pricing. So Jenny Nuccio of Imani Collective, who I think is listening, had a really important cost to add when we had this discussion in the Afri-love Connection Club: maintenance. So that's something I hadn't previously thought about. So what it is if you use machines of any kind, and you know, this includes your computer, if you use your phone or your tablet for work, these are all tools, gadgets, machines that at some point will need repair or replacement. So you need to factor that cost in. You know, break it up and see how you can spread it across your products. So even if it's adding 10 shillings, for instance, or 10 cents for those who operate in dollars to each item, it does add up and it counts when you need it. So once you know your costs, you can price your goods at a number that gives you a good profit margin. So ideally, this profit margin should still allow retailers to make a good margin too if you wholesale. So if you're wholesaling your products, you need to make a profit, and the people you're selling to also need to make a profit. And so this should allow you, your business, a good margin for growth. So lesson number 2 is prototype. So before you blow your budget on creating 2,000 pieces of a design that you are in love with, test the waters. Do others like it too? So I've been surprised so many times when, I create a set of designs and then observe the one or the ones that people really respond to. Sometimes, many times, it's happened that it's the one that's my least favorite, just showing that my taste is not necessarily the taste of my target audience. So it can be difficult to predict what people are going to be drawn to most. So why not throw out the uncertainty? If you can test some ideas and designs before doing a massive production run, 1, you'll learn a lot. 2, you'll get people excited, anticipating what else is to come. And 3, you'll get their buy-in, which can lead to them spreading the word for you. So yes, creating a handful of prototypes can often be more costly per unit than a larger production run. However, the feedback you receive could possibly save you the cost of creating those thousands of items that are just going to sit on your shelves that nobody's going to buy. So for further reading on this, you might want to look up design thinking. And I believe I have put some links, or I will put some links in the post or in the description. Number 3 is to make marketing a priority. It's no use creating all these amazing, useful, and beautiful things if nobody knows about them. So it's so easy to get lost in the creative process and in the minutiae of production, so much so that you lose perspective of the fact that you don't have a business until people are consuming what you've made. Yeah. So marketing so often gets neglected. I see it so much, even in the club. It's all often neglected and given only the dregs of time that we have left, if we have some left. One school of thought would suggest that marketing should actually be our number one priority. I've read suggestions that if you compare two similar brands, the one with a greater marketing spend will always outperform the other. Coca-Cola is often cited as a great example of this and of the power of marketing in general. They really have one major product and it hasn't changed much in 100 years, and yet they continue to outperform their competitors. I mean, take a look at any city, town, or even village around the world, and it's easy to see that they don't skimp when it comes to marketing. So I'm not advocating we all throw our budgets at billboard companies. Just really think about what marketing and content creation fits with your business and appeals to your target audience, and invest the necessary time and sometimes money to it. So lesson number 4, get more capital. This has been one of my biggest challenges. I still take on the creative commissions I talked about earlier, and that's what funds the product business. But when client payments are delayed, which is often, this can have a serious knock-on effect on production. So it's meant that we can't always predict when or even if new collections will launch. So this has really caused that product side of things to stagnate. In fact, this year we paused on production for that very reason, because rather than release new products bit by bit throughout the year, we chose to focus on building a more substantial collection, one that we can produce at scale so as to be more cost efficient and allow for bigger margins, and one that we can properly plan for in terms of marketing, everything from planning photo shoots to planning the campaign, creating the content, planning the launch, etc. So to be able to do things more properly, it's made sense to pause until the necessary capital has been collected. So to do my brand proper justice, securing adequate capital has become one of my business priorities. And then lesson number 5, keep things fresh. So let's talk about chicken and egg. Not having enough capital can prevent you from keeping things fresh. In our case, we have several repeat customers who love our products. They share feedback with us, and they say that they have all the pieces that they want from our existing range. What's new? They want to buy and they're ready to buy, but it's up to us to offer up the newness for them to choose from. And that's why it's important to keep fresh, to continue to serve your audience well. So I have to admit, I also have a personal barrier here, a conflict I'm always trying to reconcile. I personally don't want to create more stuff just for the sake of creating stuff. I want to create things that are meaningful and exquisite, things that people will cherish and not just throw away after a short time. So to address this, I've been doing a lot of work revisiting my why and how everything ties together, which has helped me to figure some of this stuff out. Yeah, but all of these 5 lessons that I've shared just now are still works in progress for me. So over to you guys. I have some questions for you. Do you have a product business? And if so, what have your biggest learnings been? And also, what do you absolutely love about what you do and about what you create? Maybe you don't have a product business yet, but you're thinking of starting one. If that's the case, are there any particular things you're uncertain of or scared about? And then also, what aspects are you excited about? I would love to hear. So feel free to drop your responses in the comments. But for now, it's over to you to ask me questions. And a few of you sent me your questions in advance. So I'll start by going through those particular ones. So I had a question from Brenda, and she asked, if you have a number of product ideas, how best do you narrow down to the one that you're going to start with? So yeah, it's a tricky one, and I don't know about you, but I get excited about all my ideas, and I can't wait to test them out. But I rein myself in. So one way to prioritize is to look at what your audience needs, or what they're asking for, and often the easiest thing to do is ask them. Maybe you don't have an audience yet. Look at your peers, look at people who are doing similar things to what you want to do, and try and assess and analyze, what they're creating that's getting the most traction. So another approach to this prioritization is something that I've been doing lately. So first, look into the costs of making all the things you're considering. So, it'll involve maybe doing some research, getting some quotes, working those numbers out. Then decide what you would charge for each of those products. So between finding out how much it will cost to produce them, and remember all those things I just talked about in terms of factoring things into your cost, and then look at how much you will sell them for, and so that helps you to determine the profit that you're going to make. So once you've worked out all of that, you can then choose the one or the ones that are going to be the most profitable. And why it's a good idea to do this is that releasing those then brings in money, which can help you develop the others. So this is one way to prioritize. So we also had questions from Gillian. So the first question is a Kenya-specific question. Which do you reckon is the best SME bank in Kenya? So I personally use Barclays, which so far has served me well. I really like their online banking interface, and the customer service has been excellent. However, I joined them as it was convenient for me to do so at the time, but I didn't really shop around. So we had this discussion recently, again in the Afri-love Connection Club, and I'm going to share some of the recommendations that were made. So a lot of people mentioned that they use CBA and were very happy with it, and particularly with the CBA loop service, which is great, especially for making payments. A couple of people used INM and were very happy with them too, especially their customer service. And then one lady recommended Stanbic Data, which is a new, I think a month or a couple of months old, a new program or new product, especially designed for women, and includes lots of value adds like a finance fitness academy, resources for wealth creation, etc. So that might be something to look into too. So the next question I have here is, at what point were you able to separate yourself from your business financially? So I'm not sure I've reached that point actually, because I assume the question is about at what point am I not investing my personal funds in my business and the business doesn't owe me any money? So part of the goal behind my product business is to get to the point where I'm generating a healthy and relatively passive income from it, which then helps the business as a whole to be more financially sustainable. So, Gillian, I'm not there yet, is my answer. I'll let you know at the point it happens. And then the last question I had in advance was, do you know of any organization that gives seed capital to startups? So you can look into the Hiva Fund and also into the She Trades in the Commonwealth program. Hiva Fund is based in Kenya. I'm not sure about their regional or international work. And She Trades in the Commonwealth, I assume, is available for anybody in the Commonwealth. So networks like these are invested in supporting entrepreneurship, especially SMEs. So even when they can't directly fund you, they will often offer access to opportunities, resources, trainings, etc., to get you funding ready, and also potentially to get you funding itself, and open the door to all other opportunities which can help you get to where you want to go. I'm just going to do a quick check in the comments here on the live to see if there are any additional questions. All right, I know you guys are shy. And I can relate. So remember, if you want to share any comments in advance, or if you want to share any comments anonymously, I invite you to send them to me either via Instagram at Lulu Kitololo, all one word, or via email to lulu@lulukitololo.com. Instagram or email are the best channels for me to actually make sure I see them in a timely fashion and get them answered in the next video. So if you've enjoyed today's episode and are watching on Facebook, please like it and share with others. If you're watching on my blog, please drop a comment and share also. Stay tuned for episode 3 next week. It's my birthday edition, and I'm going to be sharing some of the 37 lessons I've learned from 37 years. It will go live in the Afri-love Afri-love Women Facebook group on Wednesday, the 7th of August at 3 p.m. East African time. So that's 1 p.m. British Summer Time, and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. I know that covers where most of you are. If you're a woman who's interested in joining the Afri-love Women group, please do by the link below. And if you want more in between now and then, I've got more. I share weekly tools and treats for more mindful and joyful business and life via my email newsletters, which you can sign up via the link in the notes. When you sign up, you'll also get access to an exclusive library of freebies, including phone wallpaper, coloring sheets, printable art, and more. And you can also hang out with me on Instagram at Lulu Kitololo. So until next week, I'm wishing you all a soulful end to yet another month. Don't forget to take some time out to pause, reflect, celebrate, and calibrate where necessary. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.